If you are a food blogger still treating Pinterest like it's 2010 or 2018 even, it is time for a serious refresh. This episode is part one of a two-part conversation with Pinterest strategist Laura Rike. She has helped creators grow six-figure businesses and bring in over $50,000 a month using organic Pinterest strategies. In today's episode, Laura shares why board naming is a game changer and how most bloggers are getting this point wrong, and why clinging to outdated legacy pins could be holding your traffic back. If your Pinterest account has felt a little bit stale lately, this might be the wake-up call you need. Let's jump into the episode. So you are a Pinterest guru. I mean, there's a lot going on in our space in general, just kind of across the board with AI and Google and search, and Pinterest seems to be part of the equation too lately, where it's like, why is my traffic plummeting from Pinterest? So do you have any insights on that? What is going on behind the scenes? Is there a reason we're seeing some traffic decreases lately?
Yeah, for sure. So one of the things that I think I'll bring up is a few weeks ago, Pinterest rolled out their new way to click through on a blog post from the mobile app. Even prior to that, a few months ago, the visit button completely disappeared. So they had added a panel a couple weeks ago on the bottom of the pin, which you would either click on or you could just swipe up. So it was kind of getting more similar to Instagram, and you would stay in the Pinterest platform, but swipe up and the whole blog post and everything would be pulled up in Pinterest. Last week, they actually reversed that update for most people, and now you can see the visit site button back. There's a number of different theories and speculation about why it was rolled back. Nobody really knows for sure. I think personally that it is temporary. I think like with anything, they're testing what's going to work and how it's going to work. One of the things that I will say is I do have a blog post on my site that we can link in the show notes too, that dives really deep into if you are missing the visit site button, that is definitely something to test and check. So the way that you can see that is by logging out or using an incognito window. So you log out of your Pinterest account, you go to your account, and you'll look and see on those pins, do you still see that visit site button on it? If not, then in this blog post, I walk you through steps on ways that you can report this. You take screenshots, you contact them. They call it a visit site button experience. And so they will remove you from that experience if you do have it on your account. Again, like anything, they're testing it with some, not with others. That is one of the biggest things that I've seen for my management clients, is that when we noticed a significant drop, they were put into this experience. And so then when we email them, we get taken out of it, their stats go right back to normal. The other thing that we've seen is the direct traffic that we're getting from Pinterest is now actually showing as direct traffic in Google Analytics.
Oh,
Yeah. And so while you think your traffic might have dropped, if you're using GA4, it probably hasn't. It's probably classified under direct traffic. The reason for this is because it's an iOS app update. It's an iOS app, right? And so I have a mentor of mine that did like a super deep dive on this and found that it's actually not a Pinterest issue at all. It's the Safari browser.
oh,
And so the Safari browser uses something called advanced tracking and fingerprinting protection or protections. And this is like that new privacy setting we're seeing with a lot of different things where can we track the traffic? Can the app track you or not? Things like that. And so that setting is preventing websites from using their latest techniques to track the user's device or their
Mhm.
actions. And so it's stripping all of that data from us from any link that was clicked on within a Safari browser. And some say, like, okay, well, a lot of people don't use Safari, a lot of people use Chrome. There's still going to be those discrepancies regardless of the actual browser. And so I think that focusing on the Pinterest analytics first and foremost to see if you are seeing the major drops in Pinterest specifically is going to be your first bet. Because when we took screenshots and looked at the differences between Pinterest analytics and G4, we could find those exact differences under direct traffic within G4. And so I know there's a lot of people out there that's like, oh, it's not working for food bloggers anymore, or maybe it's more frustrating for you right now. And I think, like I say all the time, like just hold on, right? Like just keep doing what you're doing. Maybe make some minor tweaks, but it's really not a huge issue that is going to like totally affect you long term. It's not going to be amazing for those bloggers who rely super heavily on display ads because for monetization, the RPMs for direct traffic are typically going to be much lower than your other sources. However, those same monetization platforms are also dealing with these tracking issues and app tracking and all that. So I speculate that there are going to be changes on both sides of it once that tracking has been removed. Like, then we're going to start to see different things, right? And I don't think it's an inevitable long-term failure. I think it's just a bump in the road and we figure out how to adapt from there.
Okay, so interesting. I had no idea about any of that, but it is good to know kind of what's going on and those little things like where the traffic is coming from, that it's just showing up as a different source. And the visit button, I had no idea about that either, but great to have
Yeah.
on our radar because who knows, that could be affecting a lot of my listeners. So check that out. And maybe the Pinterest traffic isn't actually changing. It's just appearing like it is. So I think the bloggers who just hyper focus on, the bloggers who look at their traffic every day and are
Mhm.
like, oh my gosh, it's down today. What am I going to do? I think those are the ones who get freaked out by things like this.
Yeah.
Whereas if maybe you peek in once a week or once a month, then you're not quite as alarmed. Do you
Yes,
think?
I
Yeah.
100% agree. Anytime you track something that minutely, you're going to see
Right.
frustrating updates, right? It's like
Yeah.
the stock market. It's like a social post, right? You go to Facebook, you post something and you don't get any comments and you check every hour. Like that's what
Yes.
we've been told.
Yep.
I still do it sometimes too. Like it's in our nature to want things to succeed right away. But you do have to kind of take that step back and look at it and be like, okay, maybe this one pin didn't work, and that was pinned today, and now tomorrow I go and look and I'm down. That doesn't mean that your whole strategy is
Yeah.
tanked. So it definitely does mean that you need to have structures in place to look at the reporting from outside of the box perspective. Because again, like day traders, right? If they freaked out every time a day was down, or here's a better relation, ads on Pinterest. So a lot of my clients spend good money on ads on Pinterest. I have a client that spends upwards of $4,000 a day. If
Oh,
I looked at it on a daily basis, and was like, oh my gosh, we're down zero point 0.4 ROAS from yesterday, and like made all these changes, I would tank the ads
yeah.
because you can't look at it in that fine reporting window. I have to look at the bigger picture. From 3 weeks ago to that one day that was down, we're up 2.4 ROAS, right? Like, so I'm not going to make any changes just because one day the users decided not to be as active with that ad. It's going to be the same for organic.
Yeah. Yeah, there's magic to letting it marinate a little bit without
Yes.
dipping your spoon in every 2 seconds. I learned that a long time ago. Just walk away, like step away from the numbers for a period. And I think my period for marination is probably longer than most, but I think it serves me well because I don't freak out about little dips. I hear people talking about it like, oh, maybe I should go look,
Yeah.
but I tend to err on that side. But it's hard, especially if you're a newer blogger, you're just monetized. You're like, oh gosh, I want to get in and see everything that's going on every single day. But I do believe that you need to step back. I always say that to my community, step away from the now, like put your hands up and just step back for a little bit. Yeah. You mentioned ads. Do you think it's beneficial for food bloggers to experiment with ads?
I mean, I think there's definitely some opportunity for them to experience with ads or experiment with ads. I think that it's going to be more so on how you are diversifying your monetization. So, some of the examples that I would say is like if you have your own digital products that relate, like recipe books or downloadables or things like that, 100% do ads. If you're working with sponsors and doing sponsored posts, or you have a specific, like, I don't even know what it would be, but like blog post for a recipe, and maybe you have sponsored links in there for certain places to get, information or the ingredients or whatever it be, then I think that would also be a really good opportunity for you because if you're putting a sponsored link instead of just the monetization of the ads, that's where a lot of my clients can actually make most of their income from sponsored posts so that they don't have to be concerned about that minute
Mm,
tracking. And then other affiliate programs. If you have other affiliate programs that are more lucrative for you and you have pins that go to a blog post that include that or go direct to the affiliate page or things like that that are still related to your niche. I know there's a ton of different categories for bloggers, right?
yeah.
So, depending on what actually is hyper relative to you, then yeah, go ahead and do that. If you're going to be interested in ads for just the ads monetization on your site, I might caution you for that because I have not seen a scenario where if you are just monetizing with ads on your site and then you use Pinterest ads for traffic, that you get the ROI from that transaction. It does boost it, but I do see you like it's basically paying this for that, and it's not long term sustainable
Yeah.
growth. So there's got to be a little bit more of a nuanced strategy behind it before I say, like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. That makes sense. And I've heard similar things too from other experts. Do you have suggestions kind of within the walls of Pinterest? So I know you probably get these questions all the time from people, but like, how do I name boards? What do I do with what size are my pins supposed to be? Do I need fresh pins? Like all of those questions. Can we talk about those a little bit?
Yeah, 100%. So,
Okay, so let's talk about boards first.
yeah, perfect.
Board
So,
naming, is board naming important?
so important. So I actually call that the jumpstart with everything I do because it is super, super important. The way I teach it is Pinterest the computer because everybody's scared of the word algorithm. So Pinterest the computer and Pinterest the user. The computer needs to know where you want to serve your pins to. So the pins are for the user. The boards are for the computer. And so if you focus on making sure that you are naming based on what Pinterest already knows in terms of categories, then your pins will reach the right user. And so I've done numerous audits over and over again with individuals. And when we do this, there can be small changes and there can be big changes in terms of these boards and what they need to be named as. One of the biggest things that I see is we'll do boards like Laura's baking addiction recipes, or the best blogger recipes, or things like best of Pinterest. The computer's not going to understand what those are. And so really focusing on what does Pinterest understand for categories, and how can I translate that into the board name. So, for example, if I have breakfast recipes, right, I want to make sure that Pinterest doesn't say breakfast recipe. If they say breakfast recipe, that is identical to what my board should be named as. If they say breakfast recipes, that is what my board should be named as, because the difference between the two, they're not going to understand in the computer. And so you just really want to focus on that. An easy way to start is you can look at pinterest.com/ideas. There is an easy way to go through and look at what Pinterest has for their categories. It's going to be a little bit of a rabbit hole, I will tell you in the beginning. So make sure you have your notebook out or like an Excel document so that you can go through it. Because when you get in there, you'll start at like food and drink as their main one, right? But then when you look at related interests based on that, they have tasty food, aesthetic food, food cravings. Like those also can be boards, right? Dream food. If I clicked on dream food, there's a ton of stuff in there from pancakes to pasta. And so you just, regardless of your niche, really need to focus on what are the interest categories? How can I take that exact phrase and use it as a board topic? I will put a quick caveat in here. Just because we say dream food doesn't mean you can't also have a pancake board. We just want to be able to have the main interests that the computer will understand. So if we are talking about pancakes and someone searches dream foods, our pancakes can still show up. So
Okay.
hopefully that helped clarifies it a little bit.
Yeah, so I'm looking at that page right now. And so your example of the dream food board, does that mean that I go and create a board called dream food as well?
Yes, you can. Yep.
Okay.
And then you can look and scroll below that. They'll give you a couple rows of pins that are their top ones. And then again, it will give you more related interests. And so this is where you're going to get found in that rabbit hole, because you want to keep going down. You want to have a couple boards within that same category. So that way, that's how we get that fresh content repurposed to different things. There is a spreadsheet that I will give you to put in the show notes as well that Pinterest provides. It is their bulk interest category spreadsheet for targeting. Oh. And so you don't necessarily have to go down every tiny little rabbit hole. You can search it in this spreadsheet. And so if you search like pancakes in the spreadsheet, it will tell you that it's under food and drinks, meal planning, breakfast and brunch, sweet breakfast, and then pancakes. So you ideally could have 3 or 4 boards from that one thing.
Okay. Yeah, I can see where that would be a rabbit hole. I would be like, where, because there's so many different ways that things are phrased here. Like I see delicious food, cooking food, aesthetic food, tasty food, food, yummy food ideas. So where do you just pick one and see what happens, or
Yeah,
where do
so
you
I
start?
tend to tell people to start with the more broader topics, and that will be easier when you look at the bulk sheet category list, because it will tell you kind of like blog taxonomy, right? Or lineage. It will tell you where the lineage starts. And so the deeper you go, the more niche it is. So I start with the broader ones, and then when my account seems like it's plateaued or I'm not seeing any more growth, then I'll start adding in newer ones that are more niche. We do talk about also like inside of my results coaching group, we go really deep into this inside of the HTML code too. So there are things such as making sure that you are level 2, level 3 in terms of the lineage, making sure that you also are focused on um, what stage these categories were started in. So
Okay.
some of these categories are going to be main categories. Those were earlier, like 2019, 2020, things like that. And so we kind of get deep into the weeds about how many main categories, how many supporting categories, how many new categories should we be doing. And that's kind of how we keep this account from going stagnant, from dipping, is really focused on the board strategy. And that's like a huge piece. And that's why I call it the jumpstart, because people just set up boards and then think the pins are the most important and really
Right.
that foundation.
Interesting. You kind of just blew my mind. I'm like, crap, what are all my boards that have been there forever? What are they named? I'm looking through them right now. But yeah, like you mentioned, best of, I do have a couple boards that are best. Let me see, what are they called? Savory recipes from Pip and Ebby, sweet recipes from Pip and Ebby. So those are
Yeah.
probably not well named.
Yeah, and they're probably not well named. However, if they've been around since the beginning of time with Pinterest, some of them can still be doing really well. So don't jump to like, oh, I should change these. More
Okay.
so, look at what the analytics say. Are you actually getting good click throughs on the impressions? Right? And if you are, then keep it, but start to strategize around what boards can I circle around that one to keep it working for me and not just all of a sudden fall off.
Okay. And are descriptions of boards also important?
Yeah, so the descriptions are going to be where you're going to put that same phrase that you get from the category, but you can also add in 1 to 2 keywords that you want to be known for. Um, Please remember, gone are the days of hashtags and gone are the days of keyword stuffing. It really needs to be a conversational tone and making sure that they understand everything that they're going to get in that board, because people still do follow the boards individually. If they aren't for your grilling recipes, but they really love your desserts, right? They're going to follow just that specific board to get the updates from it.
Okay. Is there a number of boards that we should try to stay within?
I always love this question. Not like an overarching hard and fast rule. No. It's really, this is so generalized, but it's really dependent on what your goal is with the platform. And so what I say by that is everything I teach is awareness, consideration, and purchase. If you think you don't have the purchase, you're wrong, even if you have only monetization on your site, because that is a form of purchase.
Mm-hmm.
So we look at that as, what is our goal? Do we want more purchase and more lead gen? Then we're going to, if we're looking at those 3 categories every single day, if we're going to be pinning, let's say 5 times, I may want 2 for purchase, 2 for lead gen, and only 1 for awareness. And so when I do that, then I also need to look at, okay, if I'm going to be doing 2 for purchase, and they're my top converting blog posts, right? They make me the most RPMs. I get sales from affiliate links. What are their categories and how many boards can I save that to? I typically stay between 5 to 10 boards per category, and that's like the main category. So if desserts is a main category, you should have 5 to 10 boards within that can circle around there.
Hmm.
Keeping in mind, some of those dessert boards can also go into like comfort foods, or what was the other one that I said 2 minutes ago that already poofed through my brain?
Breakfast, or am I
Yeah,
missing?
Yeah, breakfast. I mean, tons. Easy
Yeah.
recipes, comfort food. Like, there's going to be tons, right? That can
Hmm.
overlap as well. So that's why I don't have like this set number because
Yeah.
I could say 5 to 10 for each category, but four of those also go in this category. So
Yeah.
I do lay them out in like a spreadsheet tile format so that I can see, okay, if I'm going to make sure I have 10 for appetizers and 10 for breakfast and brunch, what are the overlays between them?
Okay. So there is not an answer, really. That
No.
was no, but it's a good way to describe it and think through it. And with food, there are so many different ways that you can categorize food. And like you said, overlap is everywhere, like brunch, breakfast,
Yeah.
Mother's Day. Like there's so many things that
Yep.
could overlap with each other. Is there anything else we need to know about boards?
No, it's going to be a dynamic thing, evergreen thing, meaning I typically check at least once every 6 months. For my management clients, we're checking every 2 to 3 months, so every quarter, just because there are going to be changes in the user's patterns, what they're searching for, what's going to be the best in the code, right? We talked about in the beginning of this the changes that happened in the last couple weeks to couple months. So just a quick look over, making sure that those boards are still serving you, and if not, don't completely archive them, change them. Test a different category for that one with those pins already on it.
Hmm. Okay. That is very interesting. Should we move on to pins? I know you probably get lots of pin questions.
Yeah.
I don't even know where to start with that.
We can
Where
start
would
with,
you start with that,
yeah,
Laura?
legacy pins.
Legacy pins. Okay.
I hear a lot of chatter about this. Legacy pins, I am going to maybe not make everybody happy on, but gone are the days of legacy pins. I don't call them legacy anymore because you can still have good traffic from them for months and years to come, but they're not the same way that legacy pins served you. So, what I mean by that is we would create one pin and it would take the cake and it would be our main traffic driver for months and months and months, if not years. And we're starting to see some dips and increases on our traffic. And if you look at it, it's some of those pins from years ago that were our quote unquote legacy pins. We never created, and I say the royal we, meaning you guys, never created any new images or creatives for that blog post because that one pin was taking it across the board. We didn't need to. Um, I urge everybody to look at those before they drop off and create different variations. The content is still legacy content. It's still evergreen
Mhm.
content. The pin designs need to be refreshed because Pinterest wants that fresh content. So it doesn't mean that the legacy of that pin is gone. It means that it's looking for a new layout, a new design, a new approach to it. One of the really cool ways to do this that is super simple is we all have roundups. We all have specific categories, right? When we go on our website, we have like the drop down categories that will be like desserts, dessert recipes and grilling and dinner and chicken. And so go into that chicken area of your website. Look at what you have and create a collage. You have to do this from the actual platform. It's a new style pin, but you can take some of those legacy pins with newer created pins for those recipes, and it will help you create a collage of different images that you've had on each one of those pins. And now you have this new fresh pin that you can say the best of 2025 chicken recipes or something like that. And each image that you put on this collage is clickable to the individual
Oh.
recipe post.
Okay, wait,
So
you can do that within Pinterest, you're saying?
yes. Yeah.
What?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a really cool new way to do pins and just kind of refresh from the old legacy style. And so all you do, I'm going to walk through it so I can say it specifically
Yeah.
for the recording, but when you get into the app, you're going to click the plus button, and instead of just pin or board, you're going to see collage now. And so when you go in there, you can choose cutouts for you, your boards, your recent saves. And I typically like to go to my recent saves because I save 99.9% of the time my own content. And anybody can do that. That's the best practice. And so then when I do that, I can pick some of my most recent or my legacy pins, and it will take a chunk out. And I don't know if you can see it, but like one of them, the line is going around here in the video. It will take just that image, so just that chicken recipe image or whatever is on the pin, and you say add, and then it'll put it on this blank layout for you,
Oh,
and
okay.
you can do a bunch of different ones for all the different recipes and then put your own title on it. And so now you don't have to have a link. It's hyperlinked to like a bunch of them. So it's almost like a roundup pin, but it increases the
Whoa.
longevity of those other pins.
Okay, I did not know about that either. I'm learning so much today. That's crazy.
Fun.
That's really cool, and I'm definitely going to experiment with that later. So, in addition to that, could we to kind of round out our legacy pins, just
Yeah,
create roundups on our site and
100%.
then obviously like pins that link to the roundups. That's another way to freshen it up a little bit.
100%. Yep.
Okay. And I do want to ask you, because I know that you serve food bloggers, if you're
Yeah.
listening and you're just like, okay, I want to dig in all myself and do this, great. But if not, if you want to hand this off and you need help with all of what we've talked about, how can you help people, Laura?
Yeah, for sure. So, if you are looking for one-time help, I do an audit. And so I'll go through everything we talked about today. So we can talk about boards and pins and keywords and all that. Um, so that is just like a one-time thing. If you are looking for like long-term support, I like to ask if you are a doer or a delegator. For my doers and implementers, I have a coaching group. And so I will offer a $97 trial for 30 days. It's typically $197. And we meet every Wednesday. You don't have to come to the calls. There are recordings, transcripts, PowerPoints, whatever support. But I also, in that coaching group, am there on the call in the thick of it with you every Wednesday. And then we also give you access to literally anything I sell online. So my courses, my templates, anything that you need in terms of support is in that membership group. So that is my Pintastic results for my doers. If you are the delegator type, I have what I call a blueprint or management. If you have a team member or VA or someone that can implement for you, I literally do everything but the implementation and put it into what we call a CEO dashboard for you. So I will give you the keywords, the titles, the descriptions, the templates, videos on how to schedule for that month, like everything you need. You can literally hand that off, or I can give it to your VA. And they implement for you. So you can sit back and be the boss babe that you are, right? And watch it just work, because I will look at the analytics month over month and keep handing your VA or team member this report. Um, if you are on your own and you are a solopreneur, I also love you guys as well. And I do full management for you. So I handle everything. I give you a report every week and every month. And then I also go, I don't know anybody else doing this, but I also go in and look at the trends for 90 days out and give you content gaps. So if you are in the mode of creating new content or new roundups or new things like that, I give you a heads up on what's trending and what's coming up. and ways that we could fill that gap and ideas that I have based on what would be beneficial for Google and Pinterest. So yeah.
Wow, you cover all the bases, and I think pretty much anyone can find one of those that fits them and their business.
Yeah.
And then we can find that. We'll put that in the show notes, I think, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, just go to your website, and I'm assuming people can find you there as well.
Yep. I can give you the links. And yes, my website has everything on there too. So
Okay, that's great. And I've been like just staring at is it a coincidence that my shirt matches your background exactly and your fingernails?
no, it is not a
It's
coincidence.
so weird.
I
I've just been
love
like
it.
the hint is like spot on. It's so weird.
I love it. I think it's amazing. Everything I do is with pinks and purples. That's just my favorite color. So
Same,
branding is
same.
pink and navy, so it just
Oh
works.
my gosh. I am the same. My logo's pink, well, kind of like a magenta, but I love magenta, pinks, purples. The pillow behind me is purple. I love purple and pink so much. Okay, well, we've covered so much today. I really appreciate you taking extra time too, Laura.
Yeah, no
And
problem.
can people find you obviously on your website? Are you active on social media as well?
I am, yeah. So everything you can look up is Laura Rike, Laurarike. My agency is also called Simply Fantastic, and so those are the two things everywhere online that you guys can find me.
Awesome. Well, thank you. We really appreciate you and all of the value you shared today so much.
Yeah.
We love Pinterest experts more than you know, and just appreciate you. And thank you for listening, food bloggers. I'll see you next time. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this topic, be sure to watch the video shown on the screen. See you next time.